been going through some shit that's getting real now. Yeah, people dying all around me, man, I'm telling you this shit is getting real now. Yeah, lost my grandma, didn't know it, can you tell me how that feel now? Yeah, got a message saying sorry for your loss, I didn't know if it was real now. Praying that they got the wrong number, tell me how the fuck I got a deal now. I was going through the motions, I was doing all my shit. Turning 20 in the city, I was too focused to quit. Got on FaceTime with my granny and she told me she was proud. 1 week later she was gone and now she up above the clouds. Never got the chance to tell her that I loved her for her legacy. Everything she did and all she wanted was the best for me. Tell me why the good times always coming with the bad. Never thought I'd see the tears ever coming from my dad. I've been on a mission ever since, get it while I can. Every day I gotta reminisce, thinking about the past. I've been killing all these beats, I've been shitting on these rappers. I've been praying that I never gotta settle, living average. Gotta buy my mama crib, gotta buy my dad a whip, gotta buy my bro the world, gotta get it while I live. I don't take no shit for granted, cause I seen it come and go. I'ma take over the planet, yeah, you fuckers better know. I've been going through some shit that's getting real now. Yeah, people dying all around me, man, I'm telling you this shit is getting real now. Yeah, lost my grandma, didn't know it, can you tell me how that feel now? Yeah, got a message saying sorry for your loss, I didn't know if it was real now. Praying that they got the wrong number, tell me how the fuck I got a deal now. I've been battling these thoughts that been running through my mind, trying to make my parents proud, taking one step at a time. But nobody understands all the shit that I've been going through. Working on the music while I'm studying in dental school, thinking about just dropping out and doing what I love. But I can't imagine leaving my whole family in the mud. But they never raised a coward, I'ma finish what I started. I'ma juggle all the shit and keep on working at my hardest. I've been going where my heart is, yeah, I know that I'm the smartest. Never thinking about the parties, I've been doing what my part is. I've been battling the best, I'ma let God do the rest. I'm not getting any rest, working till I got up next. Yeah, I know this shit ain't what it seems, but I know I'm blessed. Every time that life is hard, man, I know that shit a test. They've been trying to cut the weak, only made it for the best. I just pray before I sleep and now I get what I request.
I've been living like the summer days, sunny weather never rains. Going out every night, meet another girl, another name. Running my city, they know when it's me. Doing a show, they be coming to see. Making a bread and I'm packing it up and I'm walking the bar and all drinks are free. No, I never change up, I've been sticking with the day ones. Getting bigger since that day one and one day go round the nation. They know the flow from Germany to Tokyo. Getting nosy like Pinocchio. I'm chasing all these dreams and y'all still busy chasing hoes. It's alright, no class, we up all night. Sun's out and the girls out in the sundress, they look nice. Friday going out, Saturday do it again. And we never take a day off, every night is like the weekend.
Oh my, summer day, some rays, I'm feeling so right. No time for you and me, beats out chillin', I'm gone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, beats out chillin', I'm gone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Beats out chillin', I'm
I sweat up on the ride, chillin' with the turtle. I told her what mama don't know, I don't hurt her, but I knew she was bad in the summertime. Yeah, but that's just how it goes. 3 hours by the cold sand, sticking to her by that drop top on the road. Let your hair down long blonde, she got them shades on, tell her when the long gone. I got the goodies for you, and me, beats out chillin', I'm gone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Beats out chillin', I'm gone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Beachside chillin', I'm gone.
I'm getting older, all my homies making money, and I'm trying to chase a dream, but everybody trying to stop me. They've been saying it ain't worth it, and I gotta work a job, but I hit 100,000 now. They trying to tag along. I'ma live it every day. I'ma live it to my grave. I'ma live it like the summer. Hope this life won't fade away. I've been rolling around my city with the music up, windows down, pull up to the party, and we pouring up another round. Pour the shots and bottoms up in the pool and pass a cup. Got your girl, pass her up. Take the Uber to the club. Know we staying up all night. Know the drinks on me tonight. We gon' party like our last, and you know everything's alright.
Oh my, summer day, some rails, I'm feeling so right. No time for you and me. Beats out chillin', I'm gone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Beats out chillin', I'm gone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Beachside chillin', I'm gone.
Yeah, you already know what it is. Hey, yeah, out in Italy, they can't get a hold of me. Living in the moment, so I put my phone on D&D. Got my feet up on the yacht, I've been feeling free. Limoncello spritz in my hand, and that's all I need. Celebrating what I do, then I'm back in the stool. I've been feeling so blessed, you would think I had the flu. I've been living out my dreams like I keep on hitting snooze. I've been switching up my views, now I'm feeling brand new. I can't lose, not a single thing in the world I can't do. So I had to go and check, I be in and out of planes. You would think I'm on a jet, no I'm not flying private, but I know that's coming next. Emirati gold chains and they hanging on my neck. I've been ballin' for so long, I don't even gotta flex. How they tryna hit my lane, but ain't on the road yet. Tryna race a Lamborghini while they in a Corvette, yeah. I like my woman like models, I tell them come and they follow. I'm on the coast of Amalfi, I'm drinking wine out the bottle, and I've been living out my vida like there ain't no tomorrow, because there ain't no tomorrow. Now run it back, ayy. Run it back, ayy. About to turn my Amex from a platinum to a black card. I've been spending way too much, they gon' think it's bank fraud. I be feeling like I'm shady cause I am a rap god, come on. I don't have to tell them what they already know. When I step into the ring, I'm like Ivan Drago. I be losing track of time when I'm switching time zones. Not a worry on my mind, lately I've been letting go. Remember when I used to have my wishes, now I'm finally living everything that I had envisioned. I've been handling business, I'm playing all the positions, and now my life is a movie, but it ain't on television, come on. Yeah, it's been a minute since I heard the laughter. Now I've been working harder, smarter, faster with my homies after things that matter. Trying to get up on top of the game like the master. I've been going to get in and doing it better, but never gonna let up, but never gonna get up. I hold up, gotta roll up, gotta pull up that drink. They told us, gotta focus, got no time to think. Cause the music is a drug and I'm addicted like the needle. It's not about the money, but I need it for my people. What's up and what's next? I've been blessed, I need rest. I'm on stage, I'm off state, I'm self-made but need checks. I'm still in school, I'm balling out, I guess you call that recess. I told them that I'm never gonna settle till I'm the best. Okay, go all day like Kanye. I got plays, I got A's, I rock J's, I do shows like Broadway. I'm telling everybody that I'm up next, so give way. I'm never missing like I'm Curry and we playing 2K. What's up?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Bazanji, what up? Yeah. I brought it back just like a boomerang. Name a rapper who done came up into the game and barely said anything, but still blew up on some pootie tang. Don't try to copy, I'm the only one that can do these things. Don't give a fuck what you be saying, trying to bring me down cause you're not proud about what you became. I'm living like a movie, and nigga you be lame. And to top it off, yo bitch sent me the nudies, man. Real shit though, I still spit flows that will explode. I'm ill, sick, gross, like when you feel lymph nodes. So chill, don't get close, don't worry about me. I'm out in Brazil with hoes that most likely will get stroked. DOT, we hold it down like POP, y'all BOC. I be low-key chillin' with all my DOGs, getting treated like GODs. Your bitch texting me emojis off of fifth of some VOD cotton. I think I need more, please. Running shit like I see police. Yeah. It's Castro, bitch. DOT.
And now I'm bringing it back, taking my time and I'm killing it when I'm delivering that. It's me and C. Dot, no overthinking that. We ripping that, pull the plug on the haters, they never gon'
don't change us, we getting paper like it's deforestation. And I've been way up, but I've been down. I feel gone, but I've been round. I'm doing all these numbers, took a little while, but I've been found. They trying to act involved, but really I was on my own. And I was working every night while they were busy putting their dick down. Like, get down, it's my turn, it's my town. They turned up, don't turn down. The hits now, it stay loud. I went against the odds and every joker had their face out. But I was counting cards and I've been pulling every ace out. Don't say you know me, never act like we homies. They're asking for answers like this way in the morning. But Yeezy taught me better, trying to stay forever, ever. They've been feeling all my hits like they were made for Hella Keller, and I'm gone. Nobody doing it better than us. Travel the world, I've been living it up. Man in the mirror, that's who I can trust. Stick to the plan and I never adjust. I seen the hate and I seen the love. Keeping it real, we calling it bluff. I just been counting up 1 milli, 2 milli, 3, but it's still not enough. Already knew what I wanted, I went and I got it. Lately I feel like I'm being too modest. I'm talking my talk, just keeping it honest. They not on my level, I can't even bother to give them my time or give them $1. They think they artists, but really they not. You know I'm writing, producing, recording, I'm doing it all. The role they got diamonds, they dancing. I'm trying to cop a new mansion. The labels be holding them ransom. Do what they told, I cannot imagine. I put myself in position and I still remember when nobody listened. Came a long way, but I'm still on a mission to be at the top. I know I'ma get it. Yeah, nobody doing it better than us. Travel the world, I've been living it up. Man in the mirror, that's who I can trust. Stick to the plan and I never adjust. I seen the hate and I seen the love. Keeping it real, we calling it bluff. I just been counting up 1 milli, 2 milli, 3, but it's still not enough. I get what I'm owed, the better the journey, the longer the road. Never been one that'll fold, standing up tall. This is the life that I chose. I had to do it the way that I wanted. I can't let nobody take credit for nothing. If you weren't there in the darkest of moments, then you won't be there when the blessings are coming. I really be living this, and I never got time to reminisce. I'ma keep it on go, that's all that I know. I don't take breaks, I'm different. I'm ready for my time, I put in that grind. I'm winning that shit like Michigan. I'm looking around and don't see nobody doing that work I'm putting in. I know, yeah, nobody doing it better than us. Travel the world, I've been living it up. Man in the mirror, that's who I can trust. Stick to the plan and I never adjust. I seen the hate and I seen the love. Keeping it real, we calling it bluff. I just been counting up 1 milli, 2 milli, 3, but it's still not enough.
Woo, that was almost timed just perfect on the music. That's okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to what feels like has been forever. But hey, I got to stream in January. There we go. We got it in January. I don't care that it's the last day. I don't care that it's the last hour. We got it in, and I'm so excited to be here. Hey, if anybody knows of somebody who likes to watch this on LinkedIn, something weird is happening with LinkedIn. And I don't know why, but for some reason, the live isn't showing up on the profile on LinkedIn. And so I did post a post that had a link to the live. That seems to be working for people. But if not, you may need to tell them to tune in on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. Either way, here we are on Wednesday. Glorious Wednesday, streaming, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you all very much. My name is Neil Bridges. I did go to work today, and they did confirm for me that my name was Neil, mostly because they yelled at me because I needed to do something. So I knew it was my name, so I know for a fact that I'm here today. Real conversations with real people, that is what we are here about. That's what we absolutely and utterly love about coming live to you, is that we get to have real conversations with real people. I tried to have Rick McElroy come on stream tonight. He was arguably unavailable as he goes out and does something else. with the community, which I appreciate. So I got the next best thing. It's not Jeff. So maybe I got the third best thing. Well, no, it's not Joel. Maybe it's the fourth best. You know what? Hey, listen, you're going to like him, okay? You're going to like him, and it's going to be fine, and you're going to be happy about it, okay? So don't worry about where he's at on the list, okay? We've just got somebody who's gonna come and chat with me today. But with that being said, I've got a script. I'm not going to read from the script because, quite honestly, I just want to kind of get after it. But I do have to go over some rules really quick. First and foremost, everybody give a huge shout out, whatever medium you're watching on, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever the case is. Give a huge shout out for our moderators. We do have moderators in and across all of the chats. Moderators are here to keep chat free of racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist, and just otherwise toxic behavior. We have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to toxic behavior here on Cyber Insecurity, and so they are here to make sure that chat is free from all of that. And so we do truly appreciate you having a very, very respectful conversation and discourse with all of your friends inside of chat, regardless of where you're chatting at them from. They are not here, however, to stifle chat, and I can't stress this enough. Just because we have moderators here, they absolutely are not here to make you, worry that you're going to say something. We highly encourage civil discourse and the sharing of opinions inside of chat, so please don't worry about that. Moderators are just here to make sure that the toxicity stays non-existent. We have enough of that in cybersecurity as it is, so no need in having it in chat tonight as well. With that being said, I already had somebody ask me if we're going to do AMA/questions tonight. Every day is a question type of day. That's one of the things that is the advantage of this stream being live, is that it is a rare opportunity to talk to professionals like myself and my professional guest coming on a little bit later tonight. You can ask him questions too. We've got decades of experience, multiple decades of experience between us. That's always the value that comes from having the streamline. So we highly encourage questions. Highly encourage questions from everybody across the globe, across the breadth of experience. It doesn't really matter. No question. The only question is dumb. That's dumb. I've heard somebody else say this. The only dumb question is the question that you did not ask. I promise you that. I promise you that. You have to ask questions. Who knows the question? And I've given this example before. The question you ask could literally change lives. Neil, how could the question I ask literally change lives? Because if you have that question, then there could be almost always somebody else who's listening to this stream, either now or in the VOD later, who has the exact same question as you. And then you asking that question and being brave means that they got an answer to their question. It means you have changed lives. And I couldn't be more proud of you for changing lives. So please ask that question. Whatever it is you got, our moderators will grab it, put it into a queue. I've got a window full of queued questions over here. For some reason, they all say Fasochi Actual. I wonder why that is. Thank you, Fasochi, for bombing my webinar for Query the other day and asking a ton of questions. I do truly appreciate it. We do only have one rule when it comes to questions, though. Please ask your question only once, right? Spamming your question in chat does not get it answered 400 times. I promise you that. As a matter of fact, my mods are so spiteful. If you ask a question more than once, they will actually probably move it to the last of the list. So I see BSEC in there. There's probably a BeardSec running around somewhere else. They will legitimately move that question to the end of the queue. So ask that question once, and I promise you can ask questions. I can't see anything on LinkedIn, so I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to see your questions on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if you're seeing that I'm live on LinkedIn or not. If you're hearing me on LinkedIn, out into the ether, tweet me, drop into Discord, hop into one of the other channels to answer the question. If you're on Twitter/X, you can reply inline to the stream. If you're on Twitch or YouTube, obviously drop them into chat, and we will do our absolutely best to grab them and push them onto screen. Kind of like this. How many questions? You can ask as many questions as you want. We love all questions. We love them all. You can add, there is no one question per person type of limit. I promise you that. So ask as many as you want. My moderators will grab a question just like this and push it up on screen. And then I'll press this button and I'll make it go away. All right, awesome. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, I don't know if you've all been waiting for it or not, but let me introduce my super awesome guest. We've had this guy on before. I don't remember if he was any good. You'll have to like remind me. I'm telling you, he's good. He's good. He's good. He's good. Bring your hands together. Join me in welcoming Mr. Jeremy Ventura. Jeremy Ventura, welcome to the stream again. Actually, I think this is your third appearance now, if I recall correctly, isn't it?
It is. This is the third time, the three-peat.
So clearly we messed up by inviting you 2 more times, and I just did not learn my lesson and invite you a third time. Is what you're saying?
You know, I was you put me fourth on that list. I was a little sad.
I'm saying you got fourth just because like I couldn't remember who was after Jeff, Rick, Joel. I'm pretty sure there was probably some more. Fourth might just be today. I'm just saying, just be prepared. Fourth might just be today's problem.
All good, all good. They are tough acts to follow, so all 3 of them are well deserving.
How are you doing today, buddy?
I am doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. It's a beautiful day here in sunny Southern California. I can't even speak, but yeah, no, things are going well. Things are going well. Little life update for me. A couple months ago, I got married.
Ooh.
Yep.
So
there it is.
Look at that! Look at that!
Oh yeah.
So, what was the first married thought you had where you went, maybe this wasn't such a good idea?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on live stream. she may be tuning in and listening to it. Went all downhill from here. No, man. First thought I had was like, okay, now I got to officially add you as my beneficiary to everything.
and then you realize, like, damn, she gets everything.
Oh yeah. That's how it works. But it's crazy when you get married. You don't realize on her side all the paperwork and stuff that she had to go through, from changing passports to licenses to Social Security. I was just kind of sitting in the background. I was like, hey, I kept my last name the same. So.
Like, I don't know what you're complaining about.
Exactly.
So Jeremy's got, if you're first time tuning in, first time seeing Jeremy, Jeremy's been here before, obviously 3 different times. Jeremy's got a great history, right? Jeremy, you've been field CISO at ThreatX. You were a security strategist for Gong. You were a security strategist for Mimecast. And so I pick on you for this every single time you come on stream, but I have a reason to pick on you today, and hopefully he's tuning in. I had a coaching session, a live coaching session with somebody today at lunch. Can you kind of explain what it means to be a field CISO / security strategist?
Yes. It is sometimes a difficult position to explain, but typically you'll see field CISOs working for technology vendors, specifically, obviously in our field, cybersecurity vendors that either provide a platform or service. Really the role of a field CISO, sometimes you also see the role of field CTO or security strategist, as you mentioned, but really it's customer facing in all fronts. So working with our prospects, working with our customers, our other partners and integration alliances to really ensure that we are being technologists, we're consulting, we're evangelizing not only the product and the company that we work for, but really a well-rounded cybersecurity expert, so we can talk about all different things. I always say the number one skill that to have as a field CISO is to be able to listen, because you're going to hear a lot of different challenges and where companies are struggling or where they're having successes. And it's your job to really understand that and then try to put the pieces to the puzzle together for them. And sometimes that piece may not be the product or company that you work for, and that's perfectly okay. I think that's where we're looking at it from, almost like that senior level, that C-level executive, where we can go in to other CISOs or CTOs and say, hey, I've been there, I've done it, I understand the challenges that you're having today, and this is how we implemented it. This is the best of breed of how I would go about it, or what we've seen in the field. So that is my my cliche way of how to explain the field CISO role.
So you're a consultant is basically what you're saying.
It's a lot of consulting. A lot of, some people even say advising, consulting. But yeah, it's a little different. And I can see the question right there. And so, is there a field CISO or an internal CISO? So similar, but an internal CISO, that's going to be
similar,
more
same, but different.
Same, but different. Yeah, exactly. I will say it comes with its own different pros and cons of being an actual internal CISO like you, Neil. I know you can share your kind of thoughts about this. Yeah, I would say the biggest things is we're typically not building out internal security teams, right? So we're not building out, okay, now I got to go build out a GRC component. I need to go build out a SOC. I need to go implement this technology. Really, we are advising and consulting the individuals that have to do that on the best practices on how to be successful based upon our experiences of also being in their role as well.
So you get to do all the cool shit. Whoops. God, you can always tell when the wife's not here to moderate me is because I run off at the mouth. You get to do all the cool stuff, and I get to sit there and be the one that gets, sued civilly by the SEC or gets thrown in jail by the FBI for doing all the hard stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the best way to sum it up. Exactly. I would never say less responsibility. It's just, and I think we're seeing a lot of this too, where like the CISO role is evolving. And I know you and I were chatting about this, but depending on the organization you work for, depending on the industry you're in, depending on the company and the need of what they need in actual CISO, that role can be very different between two different organizations. And we're seeing this CISO title kind of being the top echelon that, a lot of people get into cybersecurity and say, I want to be a CISO one day. And there's all these other different avenues that you can also explore, like a field CISO or a field CTO, like a CISO or virtual CISO, and doing the more consulting project contract based work as well. Even we have the title of BISO, right? The BISO, the Business Information Security Officer, and really almost thinking it like that internal glue between other departments within your organization. So there's definitely an evolution in a good way that CISO role is taking, where we're giving opportunity to more individuals to kind of get that realm, get that experience, but also be successful in what they're doing.
So you've done this now for 3 different companies. You like this kind of senior strategist, field CISO type of role, I take it, right?
Yeah, no, I love it.
You love it so much so that you decided to voluntarily get laid off from your job, I understand, recently.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Unfortunately, I'm like
stick that knife in there just a little bit further, Neil.
It's all good. Hey, this is why we're on the live stream. So unfortunate, that it happened, but it's as we both were talking about this too. Like I go on LinkedIn every single day, or I'm checking my news feed on my phone or something, and every day right now we're just in a really weird time in the market where we're seeing even security individuals getting unfortunately laid off. No matter how good you are, no matter what role and what title you have, a lot of this stuff is coming down to revenue.
All right, so since we're talking about getting laid off, I'm going to put you on the hot seat and I'm going to ask you some very specific questions. How hard is it out there in the marketplace right now?
It's difficult, and I'm not sugarcoating it at all.
Don't. That's not why we're here. How hard is it?
Yeah, no, it's hard. Interesting as I'm looking for and being very strategic about my next career opportunity, my next move, I'm also still helping and mentoring a lot of other individuals that have different roles, maybe as a security analyst, or they're a sysadmin, or they're just breaking into security for the first time. And we always see this process where, you might go find a job on LinkedIn or on another job forum and you go apply for it, and then you're not getting any feedback and you're getting eliminated right away. And it's like, wait, I know I was qualified to at least have an interview. How come I didn't? And so realistically, and this goes out to everybody out there that's watching this too. Like even as a field CISO, right? It affected me. And I will say, if you don't sometimes prepare yourself for this, it can become very, very overwhelming, very, very quick. So I know we'll talk a little bit more about strategies that I've kind of done to help me succeed so far in this process. But right now it's tough. I'm hopeful and optimistic that it's going to get better. Slowly but surely, but when we talk about how difficult it is now, let's put it in perspective, because you've been in this job market for a while, right? I mean, you were at Mimecast for years, and then you were at Gong for years, and then you were at ThreatX. It hasn't always been like this, right? It's a very employer-driven marketplace right now. Yeah, it comes down to I think business impact and revenue. And I think that's kind of where the market's at right now. We've all kind of faced inflation. Companies are facing inflations. We're seeing not many companies, at least historically in the last, let's call it 6 months to a year, not getting the same funding that they did 3, 5, 10 years ago. And it's coming down, unfortunately, to affect the businesses as well. So yeah, it's difficult, but again, hopeful that things will slowly, progressively get better.
I was chatting with a recruiter friend of mine the other day, and she said something. I've always known it. I knew it when I heard it, but it was different hearing her say it, right? And it very much boils down to we've swung the pendulum back the other way, right? It is an employer-driven marketplace right now, meaning, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, right? 4 years ago, 10 years ago, everybody was hiring. The demand was high. When I started this stream, the demand for cybersecurity was high. And so, I was very, very bullish on people getting jobs because the demand for us is high. Now it's the other way around. The demand for us isn't high. This, it doesn't mean that there's not 3 million open jobs out there in the world. It's just that profit margins now and return on investment has driven a mentality that allows employers to be far more selective in their pursuits of candidates. And I actually heard her say that, 5 years ago, and I've even said this on my stream, right? I've said this on the stream before. Hey, listen, if you don't match 100% of the job posting, if you match 70% of the job posting, just put it out there anyway, because we in the cybersecurity industry are in demand. It has now flipped, and she said that she is seeing this as she's placing candidates now, where if you don't like employers have the opportunity where if you don't have 100% match on everything that's in that job posting, you're going to have a hard time getting looked at for interviews. Has that been your kind of experience as well?
Yeah, well, at least from what I've been seeing from personally, not necessarily for me, and I'll kind of talk about the strategy I'm taking, why it's a little different. And I recommend other people doing this as well. But yeah, I hear it every single day, right? That I was actually just tagged in a comment just yesterday where somebody applied and within 10 minutes they got a rejection email automated already. And that tells me right there that there's an automation system, right? We've seen this before, especially with like usajobs.gov. I remember it was like 10 years ago when I was applying, everybody was like, we don't care about your resume. That resume has to match the keywords into that job description and that qualifications, or you're going to be eliminated right away. And so we're still seeing organizations do that. And to your point, I don't know what the right answer is, but even when I was at ThreatX, we were hiring a SOC analyst, a true junior SOC analyst, no experience needed. If you had a college degree or certifications, all the better. And we had something like 5,000 applicants apply for one role, and that right there, that's crazy to me. That 5,000. So we selected one person. What happened to the other 4,999? And that's where we're at right now. To your point, that the demand, we've always been told, right? I know I have family members that tell me this, and colleagues that aren't in cybersecurity that say you're always going to be in demand. Cybersecurity, you always have a job.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity in general is always going to be at the forefront, I think, for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's depending on what organization you work for. Again, a lot of this is coming down to the economics to it, right? And so that's where we're at.
So I appreciate this conversation, and we've talked about this. I've talked about this on stream before, but having somebody who is currently unemployed and going through it, and you're I think a month now into this unemployment, right? I think you're about a month into it, something like that. Let's talk about strategies, and I particularly wanted to talk about this with you. This will be slightly echoey chamber, and I will be 100% transparent with folks, is that this will be slightly echoey chamber to things that I advocate for, but I think it's important for people to hear it from somebody who's going through it right now. And so I encourage everybody who's listening, this is an opportunity. We're gonna ask Jeremy some questions to kind of talk about his strategies. He's going and navigating this open job market. But I encourage you to ask questions, especially as you're going through your own adventure in this job market. And I want to start off, Jeremy, field CISO, senior strategist, that's not exactly a job title that's on every company's, headcount P&L, is it?
No, it's not. Most organizations that I talk to, especially from my role, if I want to continue with the same title or something very similar to it, for the most, I would say, if I had to ballpark it, 95% of organizations out there, you're having to create brand new roles or slot you into potentially a title that does not match, but you're still doing the job responsibilities of what it actually may entail.
Whoa, whoa. I want to take a step back from that for a second. You said you may have to take a job that's titled differently than what it is that you want. Why is that?
I think from my experience, what I've been seeing is, especially right now, January, almost February of 2024, organizations are looking, again, I've said it probably 5 times so far, but revenue. And so if you have an impact or an influence or can generate revenue, or at least I'll even say the word protect revenue on like a post-sale side, using my cyber lingo there.
Yeah.
You have a more inclination to getting potentially that role. Right now, it's difficult for, I would assume, almost anybody to just be, unless you're the CEO of a company, you can even make that change. Even they're having difficulty, right? Because the board's still influencing their decisions and how they act. But a lot of this times it's, for example, there's one company I was talking to where it's like, hey, we know you, we know everything about you, you come highly recommended. We don't have that role because we're not ready for that role. A lot of companies aren't as well, or they don't know that they need this role. And so they'll say, hey, but we have a position opened up right now in Open Rec that does something a little bit different, but just get in and then we'll maneuver through all that. And so I'm being a little bit more strategic about like, okay, do I really want to do that? But it's good advice for everybody that just because, and I think this might be where you're going with this, just because you may have your heart set on, I want to be a threat hunter. If you have the opportunity to join an organization and you're a security analyst 1, or you are working on GRC, take the role. You're going to get so much experience and it will only set you up even better to go eventually where you want to go, especially in the job market today. It's not like it was where you can be like, no, I'm gonna pick and choose. You're applying with 5,000 other people or 600 people or 100 people, and those roles sometimes are only open for 24 hours or a week. And so the chances dwindle down. The more selective and the more specific you want to be, just is reality where we're at today. Just if you can get in.
I absolutely agree. Like now is not the time to be picky. Now is not the time to be picky whatsoever. And I'm sure that you don't want to take a sales role. I don't imagine that you want to go into some of these roles that you've had in the past. I just like everybody else, I know you don't want to take a pay cut, but at the same time, 1 is greater than 0. And so I'm sure you're prepared to do what it is you have to do to look after your family and your livelihood.
1000%. At the end of the day, it's, I even mentioned like I'm personally, and we'll talk a little bit more why, but like being a little bit more picky. I don't necessarily recommend that for everybody, but I'm being a little bit more picky, but we're human at the end of the day. If 6 months, a year goes by, we still got to pay mortgages, right? We still got to pay bills. We still got to provide for family. So exactly, you have to have, if this ever happens to you, or whether it's layoff or not, or you're looking for that next job, make sure you're planning out every week, like what is plan A? If all the everything connects and all the wires are crossed and I'm ready to go and everything's perfect, that's my plan A. Realistically, start focusing on what's plan B, what's plan C, what's plan D. What do I need to do to shift off and do something completely different? And have that plan and be flexible with that plan because things are going to change. I will tell you right now, and I won't share what the company was. I was applying and talking to one company. I was unfortunately laid off on a Friday. By Monday, the following week, I was already talking to this company. On Wednesday, was meeting with top executives, and then was all pretty much ready to go. And then the following week, they said budget was cut. So imagine that, right? And so again, that's another thing too, right? And so again, if you get the opportunity, we'll talk about how to get to the opportunity.
We'll talk about that one here in a little bit.
Yep, take it. Especially, that's my advice where we're at.
All right. So let's talk about getting the opportunities, right? Because like having listened to you talk, you've sent out, how many applications do you think you've sent out since you've been out of work?
Realistically, probably like 15.
Okay. So you've gotten 15 interviews from those 15 applications you've sent out, right?
No.
Look at you. You're like, no. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? Like, isn't that what the application process is for?
Yep. Yeah, that's what you would think, right? But no. Again, it's, so there's two strategies here. And one of the strategies is, of course, and you and I have said this, my quote so far that I've learned here is, in order to be in the game, you got to play the game. Yeah. So if you even want to be considered, unfortunately, sometimes you still have to throw your resume over and to that job posting, right? That's on LinkedIn or Indeed or Monster or that company website, whatever it might be. Sure enough, right? I'll admit there's been certain positions that have opened up and I may not have a connection or a reference or a referral into that. And I'll say, you know what, just for, for giggles here, right? I will throw my resume over and see if they contact me. And so to your point, out of probably the 15, now that number is probably low for most majorities. And then we'll talk about strategy one, where I'm going here. But there's still things where I'm like, I'll throw my name in the hat, right? Or I meet the qualifications, or I meet the skills here. It may be even something that's a little bit more even above me, right? Title wise or stuff like that. And so I'm like, so what? I'll throw it and see what happens, right? So my whole advice on that is, don't get discouraged because it's happening to everybody. Again, you're applying with hundreds, if not thousands of people for these jobs, and HR companies. My wife actually works in HR and she does a little bit of recruiting, and she's got to go through hundreds of applications when, they post a position for no matter what role it is in the entire company. And so, it's also taxing on the other end where people are trying to figure out how do I select out of 1,000 applicants, my top 5, right? It's almost impossible unless strategy A, unless there's some type of networking or in.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to. So Fasochi kind of dropped the hint there a little bit. What has been working for you in your job search?
This may not be a surprise. I think probably that's what most people are going to assume. Networking. And I know you and I have talked about this on the stream before. I know you've covered it many, many times and have specific videos for LinkedIn and connections and networking. I know. And I remember when I was young in my career, first starting out, everyone was like, network.
Did you listen? Did you listen to him?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. I was half expecting you to say, Nick, no, I was young and stupid.
No, I did the exact opposite. I want to make sure that I put myself out there. Like people knew. I quote too, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Yeah.
And I think that's powerful in itself as well. And making sure no matter what the job is, whether you're getting laid off, terminated, you left, don't burn bridges. That's number one as well. Like I've got actually probably the majority of companies I've worked for right now, I am talking to potentially of they want me back. And so that shows you right there something that's interesting too, where even if you left that company because you found a better role or you did something new in your career, don't burn bridges, right? Yeah. Even if you leave that organization job. So yeah. So the
so you're doing networking. Talk about how both from let's start with your existing network first. How did you start with your existing network? The folks you have now in your connection list.
Yep. So the first thing I did is I literally made a list on my computer and I looked at my LinkedIn connections, even before LinkedIn connections. I said, who in my network can I pick up the phone right now and either text or call, and I know they're going to call me back, that have some type of influence. And a lot of it's not, I know, Neil, you and I chatted within 24 hours. And it wasn't like, hey, Neil, hire me. It's, hey, Neil, this is my situation. This is what's going on. Do you have any advice for me? Right? Have you ever been through this before? What do you have? Like, is there anyone in your network? Have you heard anything? That's also super important, that making sure when you're reaching out to your network that you're not just, you're not saying, oh, hire me, right? It's more of like, this is my situation. Can I please have guidance?
Talk about that conversation, because it led to something, didn't it?
It did. So you and I chatted, and then you had mentioned, I know you mentioned it before, Rick.
I was gonna say we can keep it high level or as detailed as you want. Your call.
Yep, that's fine. So we have a mutual friend, and We both know him from different paths, but we've also all connected, the three of us. And, you know, you were like, hey, reach out to Rick. And so reach out to Rick instantly right away. He was like, hey, I can get you introduced to these 3 or 4 different individuals and or companies. And that was all in a matter of, I don't know, 30 minutes from the time I picked up the phone call to talk to you to be like, hey, actually talk to him because he's going through some different changes right now and he's seeing a whole different side of it and may have some at least leads. And so within 30 minutes to an hour, I was introduced to a company, already talking to that company as well. Won't disclose that company yet. But at the same time, you know, it goes back to the power of networking. Right. And it goes back to the power of, I made that list and kind of my strategy was make the list. Who in my connections, who in my friend group, who in general that have been mentors I've talked to, I physically know, or I physically met in person that I can say, I need to reach out to these individuals. And so that's what I did. I made a game plan. I was probably on the phone more in the first week that I probably almost ever in my life. Right. And so, but that's a good thing. Right. It was a lot of the same conversations, but it was, again, just getting leads, building that, keeping track of like, oh, cool. That person may know of an opportunity or another person. Make sure you follow up with those people too. That's the other big thing too. So I'll stop right there if there's any other questions, but that was the first thing I did.
Yeah. So let's pick on a couple of those things because like I think everybody gets the general idea, right? Is that networking has been your biggest success factor. And I think we'll talk about whether it's a success in a couple of weeks or a couple of months when you land a role. But at least what I want people to emphasize is that we're talking to Jeremy now in the throes of his job search. And some of you may be skeptical because you're like, well, he still doesn't have a job, right? He's networked and he's talked to a bunch of people and he still doesn't have a job. But as you can tell, he's had more at-bats in a shorter amount of time doing it this way versus sending out blind applications and blind resumes. And I think that's the point that I want a lot of people to take away from is that, you know, the job will come, but you have to decide what's more important to you. Do you just want to be like another resume sitting on the other side of your computer, blasting it out haphazardly to these random job postings out there on the internet? Or do you want to pick up the phone and be able to move the needle of your own career down the path yourself with you in control? Like, which would you, Jeremy, if you're hearing that for the first time, where do you want to be in control of your own career?
I want to be to your point. I mean, I'm going to rephrase what you just said. The one thing that I've learned through this is you can only control yourself. You can only control your emotions. You can only control when am I going to wake up today? You know, it sucks for everybody, right?
Yeah.
That has to go through this situation. There's no ifs, thens, and buts, right? Of course. Yeah. But like, I don't wake up. I try not to wake up, you know, in the morning and be like sad or, you know, angry of what happened. It's more of like, okay, I'm in control of this. Like the way I look at it, even though I have massive connections and mentors and friends that are, you know, helping and that's all going good. At the end of the day, the only one that can control my future, my path is myself. And it's the steps that I'm wake up every single day and plan to do. And that's important.
So let's drive home a couple other points because I think these are important points to make. When did you build this network of resources that you leveraged when you got laid off? When did you build it?
Well, I started building this network since I was even like, I want to go into cybersecurity.
Before you got laid off, right?
Years. Before I think I even had my first job 12, 13 years ago. Like I started and I knew I wanted to build a network. I wanted to build a connection with people. And again, you never know where those individuals you're going to cross paths in their lives again. And there's some individuals that's happening right now where it's like maybe an old professor. Here's one story. I had a professor in my master's school. This is 11 years ago, 10 years ago. I already forget. And reached out to that individual a couple of weeks ago. And that individual happens to be the CISO now of a pretty massive company. I'm just like, hey, have you thought about like coming back to internal security? Like I could potentially look at hiring a VP or a deputy CISO.
There you go.
Unlocking doors again, right? And it's like, hey, I remember when you gave me a B on that on that project, on that test, even though I thought I deserved an A. But now that
you're offering me a job, I'll take the B.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll take the F. I don't care. But no. But yeah, no, I've built those connections and networks. Like I've tried to embody that no matter what I do. I've been in situations, of course, in a strategist field CISO role, I'm always talking to people,
Yeah.
right? So that has all naturally helped. But I'll be honest, I know field CISOs and field CTOs counterparts that work at other organizations, and they do their role and they just, it's 9 to 5 and then they shut off the computer. It's like you have to attend local conferences. You have to get on the phone. Like today, like I was on a webinar today talking about board advisors and like how do you start and what is compensation like that could be 10 years from now for my thing, but I was sitting on there with 99 other major CISOs globally connecting and talking and sharing ideas, right? Regardless of job and no job. And I think that's like the certain communities and forums that you can find. It's not about necessarily just always, reaching out to me on LinkedIn right now and saying, oh, cool, I heard your story, like help me with a job. It's not just that. It's attending different things, right?
Yeah.
It's attending boot camps. It's attending security conferences. A lot of them are free. It's attending webinars, especially now in a virtual world. That is how you can start to build a network and connect with people. And I think that's the biggest thing.
So I want to kind of hit on that here just a little bit too when we talk about networking, right? You talk about the value of networking. You talk about the value of being out at these conferences, being out at these events and things like that. I think what you're talking about is a sense of cultivating the network and cultivating the value of the network, right? How I've gotten this question before in chat, and they're like, Neil, I'm studying, I'm doing Try Hack Me, I'm going to school, I'm got my job, and I'm doing all this, I'm reading news and project and this and that and everything else, and short of just calling it as excuses, there is a sense of like, how am I supposed to find the time to do networking, or what is the right way to do networking? And so between the time you started growing your network and the time you got laid off from ThreatX, what are some things you did? And you can use me as an example. You can use other people that you've talked to, that you've mentioned, in this example. What are some things that you have done over the years to ensure, to your point, that when you picked up the phone and called them, how did you rack and stack the people in your network so that you said, Neil was the first person I called, and then this person, and then this person, and this person? What was your strategy in racking and stacking, cultivating, and staying in contact with your network?
Loaded question. But we got time. So I'll use you as an example.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great example. So I worked for an organization. We had an individual there who ran our marketing and our PR division. And, she had reached out to me and was just like, hey, would you be willing to kind of be a second pair of eyes? Like we're kind of developing something and we want to get like industry people's eyes and ears on it. I said, sure. Sure and behold, right, it was Query where you work. And I just saw, maybe it was a week or maybe 2 weeks before you had just joined, and I saw the announcement. And I've watched your stream. We have never met, right? We have not.
We had never met. I can confirm we had never met before then.
Never met, but I've heard of Neil, and I've watched the stream, and I saw your videos from years ago. And I was like, hey, Neil Bridges is your CISO. She goes, oh yeah, Neil's a great guy. She goes, do you know him? And I was like, no, but I'd love to get introduced. And she was like, absolutely, I'll introduce you guys. And you and I talked, I think, later that day. And then I think the following week, I was on your first stream, or I was on my first stream with you.
Yeah.
And I think, it was just the power of, yes, to your point, I 100% love that and agree. It's, you build a network, but you need to cultivate. You need to work that network.
That's right.
That sounds right. Like you need to cultivate it. You need to reach out to people as best as possible. And there's little things. It could be sending a text to somebody. It could be when you were at a conference, right, going out of your way and just be like, oh, I saw that video. 1 second. Like, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you, man. It's been a while. Or picking up the phone. Or when you post something on LinkedIn, just write a little comment. Great article, Neil, loved it. Your name's still going to show up, right? Everyone that comments or likes, I still see it, right? Like I know who these people are. And so I think there's so many different ways to interact with individuals. And I understand that for some people, it's not comfortable for them to pick up the phone and call people. And I totally get that, right? But there's other ways you need to find that form to go ahead and reach out to those people. So, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so like that's, for example, a good story of kind of how we met. But I guess the cultivating part. Yeah. The cultivating part is throughout that, right? We'd always stay in contact. We met each other in person at Black Hat.
That's right.
I think
we did a video at Black Hat even.
We did. We did. It was like the CISO on the street, kind of my thoughts on podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, and again, it was continuous to reach out to you. Again, I did little things like to Neil. I also want to make sure, like, for the audience listening, I was like, cool, like I met Neil. Now it's like, all right, I want to keep this relationship going. And so it was like, I would reach out every once in a while.
Let's talk a little bit about that. And again, I don't want you to stroke my ego. So if like this is a bad example, like find a way to completely subvert and ditch this question. But I presume that you saw value in what I could bring to your network, and that's what prioritized your need for continuous outreach on your behalf, if I presume correctly.
1000%. Right. And so I think that goes back to your original question of like, not stack ranking, but how do you kind of figure out like,
it's totally stack ranking. Like, let's call it what it is.
Hey, you put me on 4th as the guest for the podcast.
Hey, at least you're in the top 10. You're in single digits, man.
got top 4. I'll take it. No, but you're 100% right. And I think there's individuals that everybody on this that's listening to this that have, whether it's colleagues, whether it's past coworkers, whether it's even family members, that you can tap into for guidance and stuff. And to your point, it's about finding value that like, what can I do for this individual? But also, is there something that I can ask of you that I know it's not a burden, right? And that could be anything from a warm introduction. That could be anything to, hey, I'm going to post something on LinkedIn. Would you mind liking it or sharing it or commenting? Mm-hmm. More times than not, like if you ask people will absolutely do that.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think, there's so many different ways to go about this from an interaction standpoint. But yeah, to your point, it's finding value, like, we're not only building a friendship, but like, 5-10 years from now, is there something I can help you with? Right. Actually, we have that story too, right? I remember you were using a previous company of mine, their product, and you were struggling to get their help system,
that's right,
support. You text me. I wasn't working there anymore.
I have no problem expanding upon this. They wouldn't talk to me because I was at a startup. And so like I wasn't the $10 million account, the $15 million enterprise account. I was the measly little, $200 a month, startup account. And so I ranked pretty low on their desire to like respond to me. And you were super helpful in terms of getting me somebody that I could talk to.
Right. So I guess that's the beauty of it, right? It goes both ways. Yeah. And I think that's, you'll never know when you'll need to make that phone call. Right?
I'm gonna make one plug, but I want to talk about it later. But I want to ask you another question first. And I do have to say that again, it does go both ways, because after you called me and after I sent you to Rick and after you followed that rabbit hole as far as you followed that rabbit hole, all of a sudden you had an epiphany and realized that I was playing golf, and you got me hooked up with your marketing buddy at Callaway. And that led to a pretty good relationship that I've got going on now with Callaway. So I mean, it does go both ways. You do have to, the good network is the one that brings value in both directions.
100%. Yep. And that's a great story as well. I knew you were getting into golf and getting serious. And I was like, wait a second. One of my best friends, I think he's probably listening on the stream, one of my best friends, and he was a groomsman in my wedding. And I've known him since a little kid. He's over there running marketing, technical marketing and product marketing for Callaway. And I was like, wait a second. I was like, hey, do you even hook Neil up with some stuff? So now that doesn't mean everybody in the chat can go contact me and be like, hey, can I get some Callaway stuff either? But again, it goes both ways, and I think that's the beauty of networking, right? Yeah. Whether it's a golf hat or a golf club, or hey, in this unfathomable experience that I got unfortunately laid off, and like, yeah, I need some guidance, right? And so it goes both ways, no matter where life might take you.
Yeah, I think that's invaluable. I want to hit on one thing that you said, and you talked about the cultivating of the network, and you hit on something that I think is, we encourage everybody on the stream, right, to network with everybody else. If you're new to the stream, hit that ! Discord, hop on over to Discord. We have an entire LinkedIn connection lounge on Discord where we highly encourage everybody to connect with everybody else. If you're in Twitch chat, you can hit ! Guest, and you can get Jeremy's LinkedIn page. I'll ask one of the mods to cross post it over into YouTube as well. And so we highly encourage everybody to connect with everybody else. But let's talk about that first message for a second, Jeremy. What are some good and bad ways that you can introduce yourself to somebody new, either in your network or you're coming into their network or they're coming into your network? What are some do's and don'ts of that connection request?
Love this question because I'm going through it right now in real life. Right now. I'm meeting people, and so I'm part of something called the CISO Society, which is a Slack channel and a group meetup that is pretty much I think it's about over 600 members now, where it's CISOs, field CISOs, directors, and it's an active Slack channel with all different channels. And for example, real story, last week I was looking through my network, and I had a mutual friend who works in the channel marketing for the company, and said, "Hey, I think we'd be hiring somebody that matches your role that you're looking for. Like, you should reach out." First thing I did, I was like, I wonder if this individual, I looked it up, I figured out who the CISO was, because the job reports to the CISO. And I went on my Slack channel, and sure enough, I typed in the individual's name, popped right up. So I sent them a Slack message. I said, "Hey, person X," I was like, "my name's Jeremy. I'm new to the group here." And I said something like, "Unfortunately, I was impacted by a recent riff at my organization. However, I have many years," I forgot how I said it, but many years of experience as a field CISO and strategist. I didn't ask him for a job or anything like that. I said, "By the way, I've always been impressed with your company." And I gave him an example. I said, "Actually, I helped an integration between this company that I worked at and your company. And so I'm very familiar with the technology and your people. Oh, by the way, I also know blah, 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 who works in your channel that referred me into this position. Anyway, we'll love to pick your brain in the next couple of weeks if you have free time. I know you're busy." That's it. We had a call today.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And so it goes from, again, I'm not overdoing it, right? I'm not like overselling.
But you're providing value. I think that's the underlying thing, right? Is like, you're not being sleazy. You're not coming on hard like a bad pickup line at a bar.
Right.
Right? You're bringing value to the conversation is a way to put it.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's an interesting aspect to it, where it's like, for example, going back to the network thing, like, I knew this individual obviously holds the keys to the kingdom, but at the same time, I was like, regardless of the position or not, I said, which is actually interesting because we had the call today, and then I realized the position's not actually what I thought it was, and it wasn't the right fit for me. But guess what? Now I'm connected to this individual. Sent me their phone number. I was like, "Yeah, if you need anything," he goes, "I know I just met you, but if you need a reference, you're looking for another company, like, reach out to me. Like, I love chatting to you. Like, let's stay friends, and look forward to seeing both content and where you end up." And I think that's more powerful than anything. Because,
Absolutely.
Again, that's another networking connection that no matter what happens 10, 20, 30 years from now, even 10 days from now, I may need that individual, or that individual may have a favor to ask of me as well. And we stay connected.
Absolutely. Now, I think we answered this one, but just since it seems, relative, let's do Neil's top 3, right? What are the top 3 best ways to create a long-lasting network? Just give me 3.
One is, I would say, constant, not overdoing it. I want to be clear on that one, but periodic interaction. And that typically could be, again, a like, it could be a comment, it could be a LinkedIn message, a Slack message, a text. I think that's one thing. I think in addition to that, to also create a long nest, I think the bigger thing is, one, kind of goes communication, but 2 is also, I want to use the word trust, like, gain and build trust with that individual as well. And that could, again, come in many different types of forms. For example, going back to our story, right? Like, I gained trust in you when I knew that was like, "Hey, yeah, let's talk right away." Instantly, I'm like, cool. Like, I know this connection could go a long way. Like, I'm gonna make the best out of it. But also, when you needed something from a previous company I worked at, right? There was a trust factor. Like, instead of like yelling at these people, which I know you probably wanted to do,
I was super respectful.
I know you were, Neil.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
was.
instead, you're like, I'm just gonna call Jeremy and see if he can give me a contact and help me out. And so I think that's also trust, right? Like, how do you build that trust? Like any relationship, it's trust, right? That comes down to it. And so I think that's super important. The third kind of goes back to number 1 a little bit, but I think with a long-lasting network, it's continued to expand, and it goes back to what you said. Not to repeat it, but kind of provide value again. So it's like when you're reaching out to the people, like one way that you could reach out is, let's say there's a new news article or there's a new news announcement about maybe that company that the individual works for or what their interests are, because you see them post on LinkedIn, for example. Maybe it's like, hey, send them a LinkedIn message and say, hey, I saw this article, either you commented on or that your organization is part of, like, really interesting. Like, you have 5 minutes to, like, I would love to pick your brain on it.
Yeah.
Like, just information and like being able to talk to people is so powerful. So yeah, those are my top 3.
All right, so here's one. Let's see what you think about this one. What's the best way to ask for referrals when you don't have access to recruiters in your close network? Cold DMs ?
Yep. Love the question, because I do have, so personally for me, I have recruiters in my network that I'm close to, but the majority, to be honest, the majority of opportunities that I'm pursuing and that I'm getting really, really close with right now, there has never been a recruiter involved. And so it goes back to the question, what's the best way to ask for referrals? Especially, I'll kind of even tie this, especially to somebody that you may not have met physically in person. Maybe you've never even talked to them over Zoom. It's just through chat. I think the thing is, try to get them into a point where they trust you. So another perfect example, right? I got a lot of stories here in the last 3 weeks. There was a position that opened up for a company, and I knew that was connected to an individual that works at that company. And I've never met this person before. We were in together on a webinar like 2 years ago. And so I reached out. I said, hey, person X, without giving out their name, I said, hey, I was just like, again, honesty, right? Tell my story. Yeah. Like, hope you're doing well. Hope 2024 is off to a good start. I saw this role open. I'm looking for an next career opportunity. If you got 10 minutes in the next couple of days, I would love to just send you a Zoom and just chat about it and how your experiences are. Instantly, the person, again, later that day, people love to share information. And so they were like, yeah, what's going on? I didn't know. Oh, you got laid off. Like, yeah, here's a position, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the call, like, I felt, again, the conversation was going well. And I think that's an aspect. If you don't think the conversation is going well, you probably shouldn't ask them for a referral, right? Let's be honest.
If there's a lot of dead space and I'm kind of creeped out by you and you didn't show up in a well-organized fashion and it's kind of shady, might not be compatible. Exactly, no second date on this one.
See, I felt the conversation went really well. There was connection. Again, I remembered certain things. Yeah, we were on that webinar. It was like 5 of us on that webinar, but I was like, and the lady was just like, yeah, I totally remember you. Like, I see all the stuff you post on LinkedIn. Like, oh, that's cool, right? We haven't talked in 2 years, but again, we can see stuff. And so I said, if it's cool, I was like, would you mind? Because there's an employee referral aspect in the job application, and we all know those resumes typically get up. And so I said, would you mind if I add you as a referral? And I love, and the way I said it, it wasn't just that. And I would love to continue as we go through the process to kind of get the inside scoop. And if I have more questions, the person was absolutely, actually send me your resume, apply it, and then I'll send it to the hiring manager.
Let's talk about referrals. Let's talk about those cold DMs for a second, because I think it's easy for guys like you and I, who are comfortable for the most part, being public and talking to people. And I wouldn't call me an extrovert, but I don't mind. I'm getting used to talking to people that I don't know and doing cold reach outs and stuff like this, right? There's a lot of people who listen to us. I mean, I don't know how many people are watching on LinkedIn, but we've got 70 some odd viewers on Twitch. We've got 30 some odd viewers on YouTube. Like I said, for some reason, my LinkedIn is borked up and I can't see how many people we got going on LinkedIn. So we got a couple hundred people here, but we've probably only got about 20 people chatting at any given time. So that gives you a good sense that 2/3 of the people who watch us still don't interact with the community, whether it's because they don't have anything to say or because they're fearful of talking in the public, whatever the case is. There's some portion of the people in cybersecurity that aren't as comfortable talking to people as you and I are. So how would you advise people who may struggle a little bit with that public outreach? How would you advise them in terms of being, kind of coming out of that shell and tackling that problem?
I think it's going to sound so much easier said than done, but the best thing is you just have to do it. And I think that's like, it's okay. And I think that's the thing. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be a little scared the first couple of times you do things. I remember the first time a company was like, hey, we need you to get up on stage and speak at a conference. I was.
Did you shit your pants?
Very close. Very close. Right. But and still, even to this day, like this is my role. This is what I get paid to do. Like I get up on stage. I've now figured out different mechanisms of how to relax myself before I do it. But like, there's still, of course, like depending on who's the audience, like there's still always going to be a little nerves, especially when you're speaking in front of 500 people at a cybersecurity conference, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I think the best thing that I ever learned was like, you just got to put yourself out there. You just have to do it. And it's okay. It's okay if it doesn't go perfect. You're going to feel, it's like running a marathon. You're going to feel so much better after you did it. You're going to have,
I don't know what kind of marathons you're running. I do not feel better after running a marathon, Jeremy.
I was just kidding. I don't run marathons either, but maybe a mile every year. That's about it. But
let's just keep it to golf. Okay. Let's just keep it to golf. I'll feel better after 18 holes.
There we go. That's a better analogy because I suck at golf. So, but like again, it's actually no. As wild as it sounds, it's a perfect analogy. Like I am not the best golfer, and I get intimidated when I'm like, oh, I'm in a foursome with 3 other people, and you're on T1, and they're like, all right, Jeremy, get up there and drive, and I'm like, oh, God, here we go. But like, you just got to relax and just got to do it, and it's okay. Especially if you have a support system with people around you that it's okay to not be perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And you just continue to improve and know how to understand and take feedback and continue to improve is the second part to this here.
So I want to say to all the chatters who came out after I made that comment, because I see a bunch. So on Twitch, it's pretty cool. I see like first time chat. I want to thank you personally for hearing me say that and dropping something in chat. You are seen. I see it. D2 Nice 2. I see you. Glad to know you've been lurking for 3 episodes. Zero Cool 420. I absolutely love that you prefer to observe before adding input, but I can guarantee you, I don't care what you think. Most of your comments are not ignored. Nobody's comments here are ignored. I can promise you that everybody here reads and sees your comments. There isn't a single comment that's ignored on this stream. So I appreciate all of you. It's pretty good. I like that. So apparently we did rile some golfers up. Did I hear free golf stuff?
No promises.
No promises. Speaking of golf, Fasochi says, Neil, how is the golf stuff coming along? I do want to say, I do want to thank you. Like, I know I mentioned it and I plugged it a little bit earlier, but I do want to say thank you very much for introducing me to your buddy. The amount of excitement that I had, being able to be on the receiving end of such a level of kindness, not just from you, but from your buddy as well, was super nice, especially in this journey, because like there's definitely a lot of mental things that I'm going through a part of this journey, primarily one of which is like I talked to somebody today and you tell them that you're on this road to be a PGA golfer and they look at you like you're crazy, like you've got 10 freaking eyeballs. And to have somebody at an organization like Callaway believe in me enough to be willing to go out of their way, and I'm gonna presume it's out of their way. They sent me close to $1,000 worth of free stuff. To believe in me enough to send me that stuff. I mean, it really hit. It really hit, man. So like I appreciate you for that. And so you and I don't know if they're listening or not. Thank you. It meant a lot to me.
Absolutely. No, and I think that's kind of what we're all talking about here too, right? Like it's through networks and connections, and it transcends more than just at the end of the day, right? We only have so much time on this earth, and I think for that, it's like a job is just a job. I think that's also really key. Yeah, job pays bills and it helps you do things, of course, and can bring you excitement sometimes. But I do think at the end of the day, a job's a job, right? And there's other things that are also important, and networking connections will come in handy throughout your entire life, no matter what the circumstances.
No matter whether it's cyber or golf, or you never, to your point, like you never know what that future is going to bring. And so like everybody that you talk to is important.
Yep, totally. But absolutely.
Speaking of golf, just for communities updates, make sure you hit my socials, !socials in chat. Make sure you go follow my Instagram account. I've got 2 Instagram accounts. I've got a personal one, IT Junkie. I also have Cyber Insecurity's Instagram account. Make sure you follow both of those. I am posting a lot of my golf journey up on my personal Instagram account. We have tournaments, Jeremy, starting up for the Veterans Golfers Association this weekend. And then I have my first Amateur Players Tour event starting in March. And so like I'm about to be inundated with golf tournaments. And so I do post a lot of my updates to golf tournaments and whatnot on Instagram. And I appreciate everybody who DMs me and supports me over there. I do truly appreciate it.
Man, I might have to get your autograph before you get too big for us.
I hope it comes to that one day. I've always attained that I will never be too big for anybody, but I do hope that I do get to that point. I've thought about, like, I created, like, you can tell like it was a moment where like I was really excited after I got my first tournament win last November. I got my first tournament win, and I was on cloud nine. Obviously on cloud nine after the tournament win. I created my own baseball card, Jeremy.
That's awesome.
And then I had a moment of narcissism, and I've never shown it to anybody. Nobody's ever seen it. Like it completely exists on a Canva page that nobody's ever seen, because like I don't have back to the how do you put yourself out there? Like I don't have it to put myself out there to show anybody what that baseball card is. But I totally pulled my stats from GHIN. I totally pulled all my tournament stats and everything, and I legit made a baseball card of my tournament win with all my stats on it and everything else.
That is awesome. Hey, but you know what? I think the key thing is you're like, and I can see somebody in the chat, a couple of things in the chat too. It's just like people are laughing. It's like, oh, he's leaving cyber and going to golf. I think it's so important, especially in this field. I will say that, especially in this field, to have things that can help. I'll use the word distract you, help you get away. Yeah. And I think whether it's myself on the side, I've always been a musician. And I know there's a lot of cross between musicians and cybersecurity, which is interesting, but find that passion also that can help you take a break, because the job, as we all know, depending on what you're doing in this field, can be high stress, right? And I know you've talked about this multiple times on stream, but I think it's really cool. And I think I'll speak for everybody here. It's awesome to see, honestly, you go through your journey, but find so much passion in it, and I think that's the coolest thing about it. I was having a coaching. You mentioned that, and I've shared this before, and I think I'll keep sharing this. One of the things that I'm thoroughly enjoying about golf is how like cyber it is, how like life it is. And I did a coaching session today with a guy who lives in my neighborhood. And I said this to him. I said, yeah, I'm learning how like cyber. How much cyber and golf are alike. And he looked at me funny and he was like, how in the world is cyber and golf alike? And I use this analogy in Discord. Plug for the Discord, hit exclamation mark Discord if you want to hop on over to Discord. I use this explanation in Discord, right? So I recently bought a sim, right? A simulator for one of the rooms. We converted one of the rooms in the house to a golf simulator. And if you're a golfer, you'll realize that one of the hardest things to do in golf is to practice. It's costly, it's hard, it's time consuming. Like you can learn it, you can figure it out one day, and then you can like lose it the very next day, right? It's an incredibly frustrating sport. And so if you don't practice or you don't play for a while, then the skills atrophy. And so I say all that to say, right, like, I recently bought a golf simulator, converted one of the rooms in the house to a golf simulator room, so I can literally practice, every waking hour that I'm not working, right? And so, like, I ever since I've got the golf simulator, and I think I got it on the 14th, I have put in well over 600 strokes a day, 600 golf swings a day on the simulator. I did practice rounds for the tournament I'm playing on Monday. I did 4 practice rounds the day before yesterday on the golf course I'm playing on Monday. Even wrote all the data down in my yardage book, right? Point is, I practice a ton. Now think about that, right? Think about how many times you practice the try hack me room. Think about how many times you run the nmap command, for scanning a network. Think about how many times you do that IR tabletop, right? Think about how many times you run that incident playbook, right?
And so the analogy I use, right, is I practice all this time. I practice hours and hours and hours. I practice swing after swing after swing. I practice golf more than I sleep. On Monday, I'm going to walk up to the tee box. Walk up to that number 1 tee box with my driver in my hand. I've already seen the course. I've already played it. I know exactly where I want that ball to land. I know exactly how I'm going to swing that club. I know exactly what I want to do. And I have exactly a 0% chance of it doing exactly what I want it to do in my mind. But I know that when that ball hits that club face, it's going to go somewhere and it's going to land somewhere. And wherever it lands, it doesn't matter whether it's in the fairway or in the fairway next to me. I'm going to have to walk out there and I'm going to have to play it wherever it lies. Doesn't matter how many hours I practiced. Doesn't matter how many times I swung that driver, because you only get one shot on that first tee box and then you have to play it where it lies. How like cyber is that? When you're dealing with an incident, you can tabletop that incident all day, every day. But when that ransomware hits, you got one chance to respond to that incident. When you get that engagement, when you get that pen test engagement, you're going to get that scope of work once. You're going to get to throw that exploit one time at that box, and it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, you have to play it where it lies. And I think that's when you think about it, like that's the learning that I'm figuring it out with golf, is that there is so much mental discipline involved in our day-to-day lives in cyber that I've been able to equate to golf. It's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a couple, as you're talking, there's a couple words that kind of relates to the entire topic of tonight and what we've been talking about that I was thinking about that just kind of came to my head. 2 words. One was preparation. And I think that's super vital in almost everything we do in life, if we want to be good at it, right? The other thing is and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but you're all in. And I think that phrase right there, being all in, proves your preparation, proves your dedication to the sport, but whatever it might be, whether you're saying, hey, I'm all in at being a SOC analyst or a red teaming or blue teaming or getting this certification or posting this piece of content or building my network. I'm going to be all in. It's a decision. You got to the only one stopping you is yourself, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, right? You just got to flip the switch and say, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Be all in, prep. So if you're prepping, I'm going to tie that right back to the golf thing, and then also kind of, the circumstance where I know a lot of us are interviewing or doing jobs. Don't just show up for an interview, just showing up, right?
Yeah.
Just be like, oh yeah, here's my resume. You have to be prepared. Research the company, research the individual you're talking to, research where's the company going, what is the role, what is success look like, who's in that role, if anybody today, or why did they leave? Prep with questions as well. Yeah. I will say the biggest thing in cybersecurity, and I know you and I both probably agree about this, that's why we're both also podcast hosts, is sometimes in cybersecurity we love hearing ourselves talk. And that's our reality.
No, say it ain't true.
And so making sure that you can flip that switch though when time needs to get that individual on that side to talk, right? Ask them that right question where, based upon, for example, I was talking to a company. Here's a great example. I'm not sure if everybody knows what 10K filings, but public companies must file 10K for investors and talk all kinds of stuff about where the business is going, how they're set up for the next year and success and all the stuff. And there's always typically components of their information security, privacy, all the stuff. I looked at this, it was a public company I was talking to, and I pulled up their 10K and I pulled up revenue. I was researching everything, how much stock and equity did the C-level executives get?
Yep.
I'm looking at where's the company going? I found out that in the next year, they're planning on doing anywhere between 5 and 10 acquisitions. They're a massive company and they're going to acquire about 5 to 10. That's what it says in the 10K. So as they're going through that, I can see from an IT in my head, it starts spinning. Yeah. Okay, when I talk to the CISO, I want to ask questions. I said, Mr. CISO, I didn't actually say that, but person I'm talking to, I said, I was doing a little bit of research on the company, and I pulled up your 10K. that just got released, a couple weeks ago, and I noticed that there was a component in there that said acquisition is going to be really high this year. I'm really curious, like, what are some of the challenges you faced when it comes to acquiring companies? I know some of the answers, right? We both do, but like, I want to get them talking. They just kept talking. They love to hear. Yeah. So we acquire companies.
And then as they talk, you get more information that just helps you even more.
Yeah. And at the end of it, they say, wow, this kid did some research. He knows what we're doing. He asked me the right questions. And so I think preparation again, right? Like going a little bit over, not just being like, oh, okay, I'm ready for my interview, and you get all nervous, right? Like prep. And I think it will help calm down the nerves as well for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Bunch of people, there's this one. I love this. Like that's like, I've got tons of these, right? There's this one. I think I'm going to take that and frame that, the golf cyber analogy. I've got tons of these. Like, I think the other one that I use, like, is like, you hit a bad shot. Like, it doesn't do you any good to like dwell on that bad shot. It's just going to mess up your game as you go from shot to shot. Like, hey, you hit a bad shot. No big deal. Like, take it on the chin, brush it off, go hit the next shot, right? Because there's nothing you can do about it. You can't take it back. You can't redo the shot. There's no asking for a mulligan in a tournament. You just got to go out there and you just got to play it. Couple more questions. We got a lot of good questions. BSEC wants a cyber insecurity making NFT golf cards. I may or may not have put that on my on the cyber insecurity OpenSea account. If anybody's still got the link for the OpenSea account, you may or may not see the Neil golf baseball card on the OpenSea account. That may or may not come to fruition. Let me know in chat if you we've talked about NFTs before, Jeremy. I think did we do an NFT when you came on the guest? No, we didn't do an NFT. We were doing NFTs for guests, and again, we're not shilling NFTs from the sense of like, oh, go buy this NFT. We were giving them away for free, and we were like putting codes on there for like free training. Right. So like you'd get an NFT, and then inside that NFT would be a special code just for you to get free training. We were giving them away for free, mostly just because we thought they were pretty cool technology. But let me know in chat, like if you would totally own a Neil Bridges golf NFT, let me totally know.
Hell yeah.
I would totally do that. Are any of these televised? Not yet. Streamed? I'm working on a way that I can stream my golf tournaments from the golf cart. I'm working on that. So again, another plug for the Instagram account. Make sure you do follow on Instagram, because if I do that, it'll be on my Instagram account. I don't know that I would necessarily put it over on Cyber Insecurity, but they may end up getting streamed. It may happen. This is a good one about cost. We've talked a little about cost. We talked about like this ultimately impacting like the bottom line as we talk about the job stuff that you got going on. So this question came through is, are companies cutting costs by looking for independent contractors who can work more as generalists? Do you think that that's what it is? Or, is this more, us being narcissistic about our careers in cybersecurity and thinking that we're the most important thing? Or is it just profit across the board?
So in my experience, I don't think it almost sounds like the solution in this question is saying, oh, we're going to go, instead of hiring, FTEs or full-time employees, we're going to look at third-party contractors and pay them on I actually don't think that's it. I think we're seeing a lot of companies are actually cutting contractors, cutting third parties that they're probably and sometimes overpaying for with little to no value. I think that's realistic, where I've been seeing more and more organizations not just laying off internal employees, but they're saying and they're reaching out to third parties and saying, you might provide us a service on when it comes to finances, and you might provide us legal services. And they're actually cutting a lot of those contractors as well, including security stuff if they're doing third party stuff. Yeah. I think the only thing I would kind of like, I would change or tweak or modify a little bit about that is I think this is the era where it's cheaper to get a third party, and I don't mean when I see this question, I think independent contractors, I think 1099 contractors, or somebody like that. But like if you're talking about contracting from, like, I'd rather hire a SecureWorks to run my SOC instead of having a fully in-house SOC team of like 30 or 40 people. I think it's cheaper to do that now. And so people are willing to accept the risk of distancing their SOC
from a risk perspective and having it completely and totally managed by a SecureWorks or an Accenture or someplace like that versus having the headcount on the P&L and having to justify that year over year?
Yeah, I would totally agree to that component as well. I think even in my time, I've worked for a couple different organizations now that was 100% kind of that MSSP third party SOC, or we provided it part of the actual solution or part of the platform, right? So you get a tool, but we can also help manage that tool and other stuff. And that, at least in the last year, even when I was working at ThreatX, was a big selling component. A lot. Especially we were in API security. And I think a lot of people know API security is important, but it wasn't necessarily prioritized. It wasn't your top 5 of where I'm going to go spend my budget on. And realistically, and when you look at the reasons why, some of those reasons were organizations didn't have the staffing. They didn't have the knowledge or the resources, the headcount to say, hey, I'm going to have this individual now go manage this platform, this tool, and completely, do something different. So by being able to kind of offshore the services to companies, that was a huge sticking point. And I feel like that's going to continue to grow when it comes to looking at technology vendors. So as CISOs and security leaders, when you're looking for your next platform, we've all heard this consolidation over the last year or so. But I also think you can tie, and it has to be good, right? But if you can tie a service to it that can help, whether it's onboarding, the daily maintenance of it, or even some of the response aspect of whatever that platform is, more and more people are starting to invest and purchase those services and companies because you're getting a bigger package than just here's your tool, and now you got to go figure it out yourself.
So you mentioned offshoring. I've gotten this question a couple times too. Let me get a follow on take to this. Do you think what percentage or what job types do you think are most susceptible to getting outsourced in an offshore capacity?
Definitely the easy one for me to say is SOC. Any type of security operation, especially the tier 1, especially the original or the initial alert is coming in, and having a team to be able to look at that and then decide, do I need to, do some type of triaging? Do I need to escalate this to somebody else? I see a lot of networking as well. So getting away a little bit more from the pure security stuff, a lot of like network sysadmin stuff I'm seeing kind of being offshored to third parties as well.
I don't think I'm as bullish on offshoring manpower as you are. It's not to say that I don't think it happens. I just don't think it's I don't think that is a primary fiscal driver. I'll say that one. I don't think that that's a primary fiscal driver. I think now maybe as a third order effect from hiring a third party like Accenture or SecureWorks. I know SecureWorks has got like a SOC in Romania, right, which has got a incredibly low dollar figure aside to the P&L from a headcount perspective, right? Accenture's obviously got offshore teams all across the globe that they use for their managed SOC services and stuff like that, right? I'm not accounting for those types of third order effect offshoring. I just don't see, like, if I put on my hat from like my Abbott days, right? I don't see Abbott saying like, oh, we're going to go find, a third party offshore in another country to offshore our SOC to. I think that's the only way I'd see that differently.
Yeah, I would expand upon that. I don't think, at least let's talk for the United States in general. I don't think, what I want to be clear on is I don't think people are 100% specifically saying, oh, I need to offshore it when we're talking about like not located in the United States. So the services being the United States. When I say offshore, I'm saying I'm using that pretty vague. But what I'm actually meaning is take those responsibilities or those duties and give that to another service. Like, for example, I work.
So offloading it more than offshoring it.
Exactly. Yeah. Not necessarily offshoring. What we actually see is now, especially with regulations, even at previous companies I worked at when I was in the internal security team, they would always ask, well, who's managing the alerts? Who has access to the code? And anytime you start saying, oh, well, it's somebody in Romania or it's somebody in this part of the world or this country, typically sometimes the eyebrows can go up and there's more scrutiny as far as, okay, have access? How do they have access? So when I say offshoring, I meant just more third parties being able to assist in that process.
Makes sense.
Whether
Makes sense.
you are into that.
So I shy away a little bit from some of the AI questions sometimes, just because I think there's a lot of noise around AI, but I think this one's important and relevant, especially given kind of the focus of the job market that we're talking about, right? So have either of you witnessed a job elimination due to the utilization of AI? What's your thought on that?
I think it's the exact opposite. I think we're seeing more and more jobs being created to handle AI and the utilization of AI and how companies are going to embed it within their products or figuring out how they're going to use it. I just saw recently, I don't know if it was Forbes, don't quote me on that one. It was one of the big ones that just came out. It was either end of last week or early this week where I saw it, where it was looking at the top. It was looking at like the top rising jobs, I guess, in the United States. And AI engineers, they kept it pretty vague, was number 3 on that list. The first time ever anything AI was on that list. And I saw another one where it was a CISO report, and they interviewed, I think it was 600 CISOs, and they said, what are some of the top threats you're looking at for 2024? And AI also appeared in there. So
I don't think I've talked to a single CISO that has said, I can't wait to replace my SOC with a bunch of chat GPTs.
Completely agree. I think it's more, especially for companies that are doing software engineering or application development, and they're figuring out how to use AI. I don't think it's job elimination. I actually think it's creating jobs.
What do you tell people? Like, do you encounter this fear around AI when you talk to folks?
Folks that aren't in cybersecurity? Yes.
I meant mostly from a fear of job replacement. Do you talk to people and then they go, "Dear God, I'm worried about AI, replacing me"?
Oh yeah.
What do you say to them?
Just like every day. I always say, I think the prediction is we're still, yes, there's always been crazy developments, but I do think that we're just scratching the surface, and we're still, I personally think we're a little ways away still, in general, meaning of like how AI is actually going to be handled and used in everyday life. I mean, it already is everywhere we look, but at the same time, I think it's more of a tool. I think that's the way I kind of describe it to people, to kind of, especially like, I'll say again, like, I don't know, if I'm sitting at a restaurant or sitting at a bar and someone's just like, "Oh, cybersecurity," people always go, "Oh, is AI going to replace us?" I hear that all the time. And I'm like, I don't, who knows, 10 years from now, even it could be even sooner, 15, 20. I don't think so. I think it's more of a tool to enable. I think you have to have a human brain. I mean, who's feeding the AI, right? Who's making sure?
It depends on which AI, because apparently, Elon Musk has fed Grok with a whole bunch of random stuff.
I saw his tweet. They still call it tweets. I saw his tweet yesterday. It was like going on a walk with him. So. Yeah.
Thanks, Nitronic Deer. Glad to see you in chat, buddy. Thanks for the gifted subs. Appreciate you. I hate. I don't know what drives people to fear that technology will replace them. I don't know that I've ever been afraid that some automated ones and zeros will make me irrelevant.
Hollywood.
You think so? You think this is another one we can blame on Hollywood?
A little bit. I mean, I think like the people that are usually, at least in my life, the people that are kind of like, "Oh, AI is going to replace this and replace that." It's typically, I mean, this is a nice way. It's not typically, I got to be careful how I phrase this. But no, it's not typically like people that like you and I, and most of the people that are on this, the stream right now that understand technology or cybersecurity. It's usually people that are, I'll be honest, it's sometimes the generation that's on Facebook trying to figure out how to post their picture right now. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna create everything, and here's this string that I gotta send on Facebook and repost it, or else I get bad luck." I
have seen those people. I have definitely seen those people.
I'm serious. Those that's where I typically see the AI concerns, realistically, like in everyday conversations. And so,
have you studied AI much? I'm trying to think how deep to go down this rabbit hole. Like it's real easy to like to trip on a root and tumble down it. Have you studied much of the AI stuff?
Studied because I was forced to. So, I worked for a couple companies in the past that.
Oh, that's right. Did we? I bet your two companies ago. I bet they did a ton with it, didn't they?
They did. And so I was on that team where, for example, if you guys were going to use the product, you and I would be talking right now, right? You're the CISO of Query. I would be the strategist on the team. And so you're pretty much going through your checklist. Like, okay, so when you say AI, what do you guys interpret AI as mean? That's the questions you'd be asking me. And so I would have to explain, okay, this is how we do machine learning and incorporate AI. This is how we're protecting it. This is how we're utilizing it. So because it was part of the job, I had to really get into, I didn't go like really, I'll be honest, like techie engineering, like how it's created.
Yeah.
We definitely had to have the from a security level, the answers of, what we're doing to protect it and not feed it its information.
So I made a prediction. For 2024. And I want to get your take on this. Strategist, senior executive security strategist. I made a prediction. Obviously, we saw the expansion of LLMs in 2023. Everybody and their brother has an LLM. Even more so, to your point, companies like the one that you're mentioning, tons of companies are insourcing some of their LLMs. I actually saw a project called I think it was GPT for All. If one of my mods wants to find that GitHub project, it's GPT for All, number 4, where it's one of the more prevalent open source projects where you can create your own LLM. And I actually saw a project where there was a security guy who is running GPT for All inside of his environment, feeding it a ton of asset and vulnerability information so that they can use NLP, natural language processing, to ask it questions about the environment. And so I say all that to say, like, that all sounds cool. And it sounds like we've got a ton of people doing these like open source local projects when it comes to AI. One of the predictions I made for 2024 is I think we're going to see a hack in 2024 where the PCI data isn't the target, the credit card data isn't the target, the PHI or the HIPAA information isn't the target. The target's going to be the LLM in that company.
I mean, it makes total sense. I would be spot on, or I think you're spot on with that. 2024.
Yeah,
that's your prediction.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, from let's call it, it's a new attack vector.
Yeah.
Right. Or when not a vector, but a new attack
surface.
When you think, like, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like the attack surface, like, oh yeah, we have this LLM, or my developers are off researching the best LLM to use for product X that we're releasing next year. And as they're doing that, going after, for example, to your point, like if I can manipulate that, model in my favor, think about the damage or misinformation, whatever word you want to throw out there, that you can actually cause. I think it's interesting. And I think I don't know if it was you posted this or somebody posted this, and I think I saw something where it's like, the chat GPTs, the Google Bards of the world, these massive companies that own them, right? This is what you see in the news of like, oh, this is how we're trying to protect our LLM. This is how we protect. I just saw, I think it was today. It was chat GPT released. Someone figured out how to find out, I don't know if it was through an API token or an unauthenticated way through an API. They were able to get all username and passwords from like conversations that were mixing and matching. That literally was on the CISO headlines today. I saw that or listened to it, but go check that out. But in general, though, that's the big ones that we see. There's hundreds of thousands, if not going to be millions, if not already, of LLMs that there's no protection. There's none responsibility of AI. And so I think that, to me, is the scary part.
And when we say no protection, like, I'm going to use a word that I know triggers a lot of people, right? But I'm going to use it because I think it's important, right? There's no regulation. There's no guidance. NIST, I think, just released like a super superficial high level guidance around AI. I don't even think it specifically covers LLM, and I think it's like 90,000 foot view type of guidance from NIST. There's nothing, and we've got companies dumping freaking terabytes, petabytes of data into these LLMs to get them to answer those questions. So I that's kind of where my prediction is kind of at.
Yeah, I got a quick little funny, not funny, but I got a quick little story. So last week I was in Newport Beach, California, and I was asked to speak on an insider threat panel. And the cool thing about this conference and this kind of mini convention is they take security leaders and they'll put us, like, for example, my panel was a CTO, like data privacy lawyer, myself, and then somebody that runs GRC for a big car manufacturer. And so it was the four of us. And so you get really four unique perspectives.
Yeah.
And the topic was insider threat. And I brought up the story that people can go research this, but it was a CFO that worked for a publicly traded company. And the individual went on ChatGPT and uploaded, this individual was working, trying to get a summary, like bullet points. So this individual could create a slide deck for the board meeting. And in ChatGPT, put all company financials and all proprietary information in ChatGPT. And the only way the security team found out was when this individual was presenting, somebody, it was actually the CISO, pulled the individual on the side and was like, really good presentation. Like, did you happen to use like anything for this? It didn't sound like you. And of course the individual was like, yeah, I helped, to be honest, keep it a secret. Like I used ChatGPT to help me with the bullet points. And it was just like, wait a second, what did you put in there? And then, peered, because you could have all that saved chat in ChatGPT, and saw it was mind-blowing information, like secretive information about where they're going from. I mean, it's CFO from finances, like where they're losing money, how are they spending money, who they're looking to acquire, what patent, like crazy stuff, and poof. And so that, to me, that's a real story, and I think that is that's what's scary, is how do you gain control?
Yeah, and I think that, like, when you realize that that's the real threat, that's the real thing that you as a security person, I'm pointing to everybody who's listening to me, right? That's the thing that you should be worried more about with AI than whether it's going to take your job. Like, you'll realize that, like, ChatGPT, AI, LLMs, everything like that, you are so far away from having to worry about whether that's going to take your job or not. Like, so far away.
I agree. I still think you got to look at it as another tool in the tool belt, and how you can use it.
Learn how to use it, make the most out of it. There was one here that I saw. Oh, that was that one. I got the job elimination one. There was one here. We talked a little bit about the LinkedIn thing. I'm gonna skip around on you a little bit just because I saw this. I thought this was an interesting question from Rich Soul. I'm in sales at the moment, and I want to network on LinkedIn, but the president of the company I work for follows me. How would you guys go about it? I want you to answer that question, but I also want you to answer it in the light of, what is your take on good LinkedIn practices, suspecting that your company monitors your LinkedIn?
So I'll answer kind of both of that. I'm assuming, and please put it in the chat if I'm wrong. I'm assuming the question is networking as far as potentially looking for a new opportunity or a new career. That's why this potentially. And I think, again, networking on LinkedIn, as long as you're not. Here's another story. I worked for a company one time where this individual went on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, I'm still currently employed, but I'm looking for my next role, and this is what I would like to do."
Whoopsie!
And everybody was just like, "Dude, are you at the bar right now doing this? Like, this is not a good look. Like, get off LinkedIn." That's an honest, true story. And that person was, as you can imagine, I think within 2 weeks later, not because of that LinkedIn, because of LinkedIn post, but not because somebody was hiring. I'm like, that just looks bad, not only in your current company, it looks bad for your next company. And also, most importantly, it just doesn't leave a good mark on you as you're like, we were laughing.
Would you hire somebody who put their company on blast like that?
Remember in the beginning of the conversation, I was like, don't burn bridges, right? Let's keep those. That's a very easy way to do that. So I think there's a smart way to go about it to answer the question. again, it's not like you would be, hopefully you're not like making LinkedIn posts or content, whatever it is, content, articles, videos, blogging, where you're saying, I'm looking for my new job, right? I'm looking for my next job. Like, don't do that, right? Don't make it obvious. I think there's a little bit of aspect to it, but again, it's your LinkedIn page. It's not your company's LinkedIn page. So feel free to comment and post and network, right? Make connections. And again, use messages, right? Use the private ways between you and the person that you're talking to as well.
I think, listen, like, if a company wants to stalk, if a company has the time, if your boss and HR and recruiting and your peers have the time to stalk your LinkedIn page, maybe I'm a little edgy, but make it fun for them. You should absolutely put on that open to work banner, right? Now, you know, you can decide how ballsy you want to get with it, where you like make it available to everybody or just recruiters. But, you know, to Jeremy's point, don't burn bridges. Don't post up on your LinkedIn page that you're looking for a job. But like, if your folks are going to stalk your LinkedIn page, I guess I look at it this way, right? You could draw their attention to the fact that you are clearly an unhappy employee. And maybe it'll force a conversation that'll work in your favor. They can't fire you for your LinkedIn page unless, to Jeremy's point, you decide to go put them on blast on LinkedIn, which I would never advise anybody to go do that. But just because you have an open to work banner on your LinkedIn, you're not going to get pulled into HR and said, "Hey, listen, we saw you had open to work on your LinkedIn. We're going to have to let you go." Like, that's just not, like, be realistic. That's just not a conversation that HR is going to have with you, right? And so like I don't buy into this fear that your employer. I had a CEO who is no longer a CEO because of some very toxic behaviors. Anybody who has paid attention to my work history over the last 5 years can probably make some assumptions here on this CEO, which CEO I'm talking about, who did stalk my pages, all my socials, and no less than an hour after I had put something up on my socials did I get a phone call asking why I put something up on my socials the way that I did. I don't think that you should let those things drive you away from being active in the community or voice your opinion. And people, when you start to be afraid of your employer, I don't think that that's a good place for you to be anyway, and you should probably be grateful if they decide to help you walk out the door.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Another story time. I remember working for a company, and I was connected to an individual, was a CISO, and it was pretty much our biggest competitor. But the CISO and I, even though we competed in our day jobs, like we were very close, right? We knew each other. We worked together way back in the day, and would post certain content of their current company, and it could be they attended an event, right? And it's a picture of him and some of the other team at an event. I'd like it. I remember one time somebody was just like, "Whoa! You're liking the competitor's page," and I'm like, again, this says they're not. In their post, they're not talking about us. They're just at an event.
Yeah.
I'm liking this individual's photo that he's in Orlando, Florida, taking a picture with his coworkers. Like,
yeah.
And so I remember, I never heard anything else after that, which is a good thing. But again, it goes back to your point. Like, if that's what your company is looking at and doing and pulling into the office for, that's probably not the company that you want to work for. Have we ever heard of the term Big Brother?
Yeah.
That's not the company I know I wouldn't want to work for.
Yeah. I made it very, very clear to the CEO that day that I would be looking for a new job, simply because they made it very, very clear that their concern for my social interactions with my peers and my friends in this industry threatened them. And I think that, like, we talk about ethics and we talk about values in cybersecurity. I think that that's an ethical stand that you have to take for yourself to decide, like, are you gonna let a boss tell you how you live your life, period, let alone outside the restrictions of your work?
What did you do in that situation, Neil? Did you reach back out to that individual and kind of tell him or her your point and be like, well, this is what I'm, because it's LinkedIn, for example, like there's nothing degrading our company or you personally, like, I guess, how did you actually go about that? If you want me asking, as much as you can share.
Yeah. And I'm trying to decide at what level I'm at with distancing myself from that company, if it's worth throwing them under the bus or not. This company knew that I had a very public stream, and that this stream operated on the premise that I needed to bring guests on to talk about the state of cybersecurity and the things that were happening. The board had approved my employment knowing that this came with the deal, right? I was a fiduciary in the company, and I had a guest on that I was accused of neglecting my fiduciary responsibility by simply having the guest on my stream. Now, the CEO, when I challenged the CEO, I went to my lawyers, talked to my lawyers just to make sure I was in the right, and I was. I came back to the CEO and I said, please, if you believe that to be the case, provide evidence that I have fiduciarily impacted the company in a negative way. I was very straightforward. I said, if you believe that, then make your case to the board and prove that fact. And they weren't able to. And so I'd say that the thing that I did was I challenged the accusation. And I think that that's what I would have people walk away from in that story, right? Is when somebody accuses you of something, when a random boss, somebody who has been granted a position of power, when they accuse you of something, I can almost unequivocally tell you, I don't know how you feel about this, they probably are not coming to you with any level of fact or backing from a legitimate source. It is purely their ego or feelings at play. And the reason I'll say that is because if it was indeed a violation of a company policy or principle, you know who the first call that you would have gotten a call from would have been?
The lawyer.
The lawyer or HR.
Yep.
Right? Because it is HR's responsibility and it is legal's responsibility to handle that with you, not anybody else in the company. And so I'd say that's the takeaway is I challenged them on the premise. I said, please provide evidence. Would gladly love to see evidence of whatever it is you're accusing me of.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks for sharing that, though. I know.
Yeah.
Both.
There's enough clues there. People could probably figure it out, but I'll kind of leave that one. I did want to talk about something news related. I want to pivot really quick in the last few minutes that we've got here, and I did want to talk about something that's news related. And BSEC brought it up. You and I talked a little bit about this earlier, and I definitely have some opinions on this. I have some strong ass opinions on this. BSEC says, so what about the elephant in the room? Did anyone watch the hearing on cybersecurity and the China stuff? Everyone is freaking out like this has not been happening for years. So for those who don't know, Director Christopher Wray of the FBI, sat on Congress today, and in his infinite wisdom, and again, I want to remind chat, this is a non-political stream. Do not make any form of derogatory political comments that are specifically targeted to one group or the other. This is a civil discourse conversation on cybersecurity strategy, cyber warfare. But Christopher Wray made the broad statement that the Chinese are actively hacking American infrastructure. And I don't know about you, Jeremy, but I had to look at my watch and be like, did we get a throwback to, like, I don't know, fucking, God, this is what happens when the wife isn't here to keep me in check. Where's my mods in my ears yelling at me? Like,
We'll
this
bleep that
hasn't
out.
been happening for 10 years.
I love the second part of the thing. Everyone's freaking out like this has not been happening for years, into what you just said. I mean, I remember going through college, getting my master's degree in cybersecurity, and talking about all the APT groups and China and all the, you know, where they're in our network and everything. It's interesting. I to your point, I mean, I didn't freak out with the news. I was like, oh, really? Like, don't we already know? Like, we already know that. And it, you know, they even said, what's the name of the group? Vault. Is it Typhoon?
Yeah, Typhoon Vault Typhoon, whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how they stopped potentially a massive bot attack that was using like old routers that were, you know, no longer supported, end of life. And even like looking at the TTPs of what they were saying, kind of providing evidence. And I'm like, okay, this is common. This is typically what we see. I got to say, though, like, the one thing I did like was obviously the director of CISA, Jen Esterly, was there, and she commented as well. And she said something like, I love the comment because it was just such plain English and simple for everybody. It's like, we're making this too easy. Like, someone had to say it. Like, we know it. We can talk about it on stream, but, like, we're just making it way too easy.
Yeah.
And have made it too easy for other actors, I'll say, to infiltrate potentially our nation or critical infrastructure.
When we talk about this being, like, what you see BSEX comment, you hear Jeremy say this, I want to kind of my turn to tell a story about my days in the military, right? And again, I want to put this in perspective, right? I was in US Cyber Command from it was like 2008 to 2013, right? I was doing a lot of industrial control system hacking. I was hacking a lot of SCADA systems. I was hacking a lot of IoT. You know, there was one cool mission set that I got to be part of where I got to work with an Army think tank black project, I don't know what you want to call it, right, out of Alabama, where they legitimately bought surface to air missiles, you know, off of Russian defectors and off the black market and stuff like that, and then they would reverse engineer them, wire them up, and I worked part of a unit that would attempt to hack the ladder logic in the surface to air missiles so that we could try to allow a jet to fly through these surface-to-air missiles while tricking the radar technology. And one of the things that we did when we built the schoolhouse was we had a section built into the training where we talked explicitly about industrial control systems and SCADA networks and stuff like that. And I taught that lesson because of the work that I had done in all the previous stuff. And one of the things that we did was we took a field trip to both a nuclear power plant and a water treatment facility plant. And we didn't tell these people that we were a part of a cyber unit. I just got a text message from somebody that just heard about what I just said about SCADA stuff. I'm sorry, that text message came through. I see your text message. Thank you for that. We told them we were doing an IT project, right, or something like that. But the reason we did that is because we were actively exploiting water treatment facility plants and power plants and critical infrastructure in other nations ourselves. And we knew then that it was happening to us as well. And we knew we've known for a national strategy. When we talk about we knowing, like, I've sat in briefings where we've said, yeah, we know that the Chinese are in over here. We have no idea how to catch them because It's public sector. Those are private sector. They're privately owned companies. We don't have any control of their IT infrastructure. We don't have any control of their IT budget. They won't let us in. If we go in there and try to tell them that we know that the Chinese are in there, then we've now tipped our hand, and they've got such bad security anyway that now the Chinese are going to know that we know that they're in our infrastructure. And so if anybody here has ever lived in New York City or someplace where they've got like rat infested, you know that the rats are never leaving New York City, right? Like there's no way to ever clean up the rats in New York City. That's what it's like having these adversaries, specifically China, in our networks. We know that they're there. We've known that they've been there for years. There is literally nothing we could ever do to get them out, ever in a million years.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It goes back to I love that story, but it's even a little bit of my background too. When I used to work at Tenable, obviously one of the largest vulnerability management companies. And when I was in my prime at Tenable, that's when we had just released our kind of OT SCADA system, passive scanners that, wouldn't be an active scan and potentially take down a network. And as you know, a lot of these systems, I remember just kind of speaking on this to customers or even at conferences where if you've got a certain type of system within that facility, even if it's connected or not connected to the internet, regardless, you can't just take it offline and patch it, right? There are no patches to just go and fix a robotic arm or whatever it might be, or a conveyor belt for something. And I think that was what was interesting about it was it's such, we've been talking about this for a while, right? Like, especially as an industry, the OT, the SCADA system. I saw, was it just last week too? Was it Schneider Electric?
Yeah.
Right? They were just affected with something as well. So we've known this. I think, again, it's where I want to go with this is like, whose responsibility is it? So the good thing is we're talking about it, but we're still talking about it, right? So I'm going to flip the script and ask you a question, Neil. Responsibility from, and where I want to tie this in is this actually, does this fall under, let's say some of these major organizations like a water treatment facility, I know that was in the news today as well. Does it fall under the responsibility of security, the CISO, or somebody else? And if it does fall under the scope of the security or the CISO's realm, how do you manage it? How do you show risk to the board, knowing that there's always risk in there and that some of these systems are just too old or legacy or delicate to even fix?
So I think before we answer that question, there may be some misconceptions about how a power plant or water treatment, like power plant's probably a terrible idea. Let's go with a water treatment facility plant. And when I say a water treatment facility plant, I'm not talking about New York City. If you're listening to this and you can hear my voice, if you think you live in a small town in the U.S., and when I say a small town in the U.S., let's go less than 50,000 residents. Drop the name of that town into chat if you think that you live in a super, super small rural area of the country. That's the size of the water treatment facility plant, the area that they serviced when we took them on this field trip. Now, that water treatment facility plant that serviced a small community like that had 4 employees. They had 4 employees. They had 1 computer that ran everything about that water treatment facility plant. That 1 computer also happened to be the computer that everybody checked their email on, everybody surfed the internet on, did their bills on, everything. That 1 small town water treatment facility plant, 95% of the residents of that small treatment facility plant were residents of a major special forces operation Air Force base. So when you say, whose responsibility is it? That's the dichotomy that exists about the understanding that you have a major special forces operation base. They were the first to get Osprey. They were the first to deploy to Haiti during the earthquakes. Their neighboring Air Force base was the first to get F-35s. They are cutting edge when it comes to the United States military. And they are serviced by a water treatment facility plant with 4 employees. CISO? Pfft. They have one dude with a C in their title, and it's CEO if he chooses to call himself that because he needs to put it on his signature. Most of these people have, the 4 people that work there are all there to make sure that clean water is being serviced to this military community day in and day out. And so I think that's the issue that exists, is it's not the water treatment facility in Miami or Chicago or DC or New York or San Francisco or San Diego. Most of these towns in Wyoming, if you think about missile support towns in Wyoming that support the intercontinental ballistic missiles, those are towns of 2,000 and 3,000. They don't have water treatment facility plants that have CISOs. They barely have water treatment facility plants that have CEOs. And so I think you have to acknowledge that it is because you have privately run critical infrastructure, and this is not an advocation that the government should take over all critical infrastructure. This is an acknowledgement that because you have privately run critical infrastructure for profit organizations, there is physically 0% chance that you will ever see a modicum of security in those installations.
That's great. Great context. I don't know if that makes me sleep better at night.
like there's a lot of silence. I don't know if that's because everybody's like, what the fuck did Neil just say? Did Neil just like ruin the entire existence of everybody that lives in rural America or something? Like, I don't know, but that is reality. And so like, there can't be legislation, because you're not going to have that dude, servicing that town of 2K. He's going to look around and be like, firewall? What the hell is a firewall? Government, you going to give me some money to help me put in a firewall? Like, what the hell are we going to do here? Like, he's not going to know what to do. He's not going to go out and hire a CISO to protect his stuff.
Right.
Right? And so like you have to acknowledge that problem before you can even begin to think about how you solve that problem.
It makes total sense. I had the opportunity back at a company to, they were not a customer, but they were a prospective customer. And I will let all your imaginations go. You'll probably guess it right away. I went to the state of Alaska, and which was a cool experience, by the way. And got to work with a critical infrastructure, hint, hint, organization. And even when I got there, I remember just like, oh my, I've always heard of this entity, and it's gonna be cool. I remember getting there, it was 2 people that were assigned, and this is keyword how I'm phrasing this, assigned to do cybersecurity stuff.
Yeah.
They were both employees of the company. One was 30 years, the other one probably like 40 years, right? And of course, 30, 40 years ago, they were engineers and, developing industrial stuff. And they kind of, over the years, made them into like more IT support, help desk internally for employees. Oh, I got locked in my email. And this is a major transportation of something. I'm trying not to give it away too much, and but it's obvious, it's easy there. But I just imagine like we came in there and the eyes on the security team when we were talking about like, well, this is the threats, this is where we're seeing, and we just assumed they knew that. And it was interesting when the eyes were popping on the head, like we know, like we're in the news and critical infrastructure, but like what? We don't know. They thought we were speaking a different language.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, well, okay, well, let's assess it. Well, like, what are you guys using for a SIM? A what? A SIM technology? Okay, let's back up. How about like firewall? To your point, right? Firewalls. Who manages that?
Yeah,
the two of you did, and they're pointing. I don't know. I think we have a couple of firewalls.
Yeah.
And that's realistic. Again, that's not to disarm those individuals that can be by any means. But
no,
that is realistic.
Yeah. Not trying to poke fun of them. Not trying to they do amazing job at what it is they're doing. But some I think the community at large sometimes forgets that it's not the bigger critical infrastructure vendors that are at risk. But they're also not the majority. They're the minority in the United States of America. And that's the United States. Like the reason we were able to do this on the offensive side in the Air Force is because even our low-key, water treatment facility plants are light years ahead of water treatment facility plants that you see in other countries across the globe. And so like it is a sad scenario when you think about critical infrastructure. I saw somebody in chat talk about like it's a product of capitalism. I guess that's a cynical way to look at it, but it's not unfoundedly true. It's just the state of where we are right now. And that's the problem that you have to acknowledge first. And it's not just a product of like, oh, well, just have them hire a CISO. It's just not that easy.
Right.
All right. That's enough doom and gloom on critical infrastructure for the night. Jeremy, it's time to wrap up. I'm going to ask my mods. I think BSEC. I saw BSEC and Frazier there. I'm going to ask my mods to go look for a raid target. If you're on Twitch, don't go anywhere. We're going to go raid another cybersecurity streamer. If you're not participating in a raid, I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me tonight, dude. It's always a pleasure, man.
Oh, this is always a fun time, and I always love that, whatever comes up to the mind, whatever the questions are, that's what we're going to discuss today. So I appreciate you having me on as always, Neil, and always look forward to this, and always look forward to the community and the chatter. And again, if I could just leave anything with anybody, right? Like, again, there's a couple themes here that I even took away too. It's like, again, preparation. We talk all the time about networking, but I think the biggest thing, Neil, and you said it, and I want to echo it, it's not just building a network. It's not just how many followers you have or on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever platform. Cultivate that network, right? Interact with that network, mold that network to work in your favor for when you need that. And I think that's the key to that.
Absolutely. Well said. Jeremy, have a good one. I'm going to talk to my community for a little bit. And you have a good evening, sir, out on the West Coast. Well, gang, that was awesome. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or X, you can go ahead and log on off. Folks here on Twitch, we're going to go have some fun. BSEC says he's driving. He can't look somebody up. Look at that. BSEC's like, driving? Well, let's go look. Let's go see who we can find in the Science and Technology channel, shall we? I will go look. Now let's see who we can invite. If you've never participated in a raid before, here's what we do. We oftentimes go and we look for somebody else who is doing some form of cyber content that is a small streamer, because we all started out as a small streamer when we were young, and it means the world to people when you come and join their stream and make them feel awesome for taking time out of their day to educate folks. And so we definitely want to see if we've got anybody here. Man, nobody's streaming cybersecurity content. We're truly the only people streaming cybersecurity content today. Man, all the cybersecurity streamers gone. That's it, guys. It's just us. Tough times. Yeah, tough times, Callie. Glad to see you, buddy. Glad to see you stuck around for a while. By the way, Callie is streaming on Twitch as well. We've added Callie to the to the list of community-supported streamers. You can find it inside of the support community section. Inside of there, do go support Callie. You won't be on. Aw, I hate to see that. Oh, Twitch is shutting down there? Well, so much. I get to go promote you, and then Twitch shuts down. All right, I tell you what, we're going to go raid Security Weekly. You know, that's Paul Assordian's stream. He's over there. Hopefully he's paying attention and sees us raid. You know, typically when we go raid people, we ask that you bring the positivity that always comes with, you know, being part of the cyber and security team. Paul doesn't always pay attention to his chat, so sometimes he doesn't see it, but still bring that positivity just in case, and we will hopefully bring, you know, some good positivity to Security Weekly. With that being said, Carmen's still out on Friday, so it looks like it's going to be us on Friday doing some streams. Make sure you hit that exclamation point socials. Go follow me over there on Instagram. Support my golf journey. I love seeing all of your support as I go through my tournaments. Looking good, Neil. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Lots of, like, I love being able to stream across all the platforms. I hate that LinkedIn for some reason isn't working. It looks like we did get some comments, so I think some people have been enjoying us on LinkedIn. Thank you all for sticking it out on LinkedIn. I do truly appreciate it. I'll try to figure out why my LinkedIn was not allowing me to interact with chat, but thank you all. Anyway, do make sure you hit that Discord. We do have tons of people hanging out in Discord all the time. Looks like E-Curve's over there now. You can go ask him about elliptical curve. You know, asymmetric encryption and stuff like that. That dude is wicked smart. Glad to see him hanging out in chat. He almost always is. With that being said, whether you're on the red side or the blue side, or still deciding, keep learning. Most of you are going to get a box that's going to pop up here in a second. That's going to ask you if you want to participate in that raid. Want to see everybody, as many people as possible, participating in that raid. Stay awesome. I look forward to hanging out with you next time. 2, 1. All right, let's go have some fun.